So, as we get started reading Judith Jarvis Thomson, and in general get started reading these essays on abortion, thinking of next week's essay by Don Marquis, Why Abortion is Immoral. The first thing we need to do, just to get started, is to kind of clear our minds, because one of the reasons that I like both of these articles, and as we see, this is a defense of abortion. Don Marquis' article next week is an argument that abortion is immoral, at least in most cases, is that they take a different approach than what we usually hear. That is, neither of them is interested in the question of whether the fetus is a human being or whether the fetus is a person. They take a different approach. So, okay, we come into this debate with certain preconceptions about what the issue is. And if it is so strongly instilled in us that the issue is whether the fetus is, or when it becomes, a person or a human being, and there's definitely a distinction there that we have to talk about, the distinction between being a human being and being a person. But we're so trained to conceive of the problem in those terms that it may be that we misread these articles in which that is not the central issue. That is, neither Thomson nor next week's essay by Marquis, nothing hinges really on that question. And in fact, this is obvious from Thomson's introduction, right? And this is the whole point of her introduction. Is the discussion just of this very issue of whether or not really this question of the personhood of the fetus is or should be the deciding issue. And I think the first thing to note, as we're coming to terms with Thomson's essay, with her argument, her defense of abortion, is that it is a defense of abortion, and that for the purposes of discussion, she starts by granting, okay, the fetus is a person, or at least at some point becomes a person. Because, one of the things that she's rejecting is the idea that we could ever actually draw the line. That is, if we believe that there's a point somewhere between conception and birth at which the fetus actually becomes a human being or becomes a person, that it would be impossible really to draw that line. And, it's not going to work if we're proceeding in that way. So she takes a different approach, and she says, okay, well, let's just grant that the fetus is a person from the moment of conception, right? So this is what she says here on whatever page this is, page 48. I propose then that we grant that the fetus is a person from the moment of conception. How does the argument go from here? That's the first thing to note, that, what she's pointing out is that there's a missing step in anti-abortion arguments that go something like this. Well, the fetus is a person. It's obviously killing a person is wrong, especially a defenseless, innocent person, as a fetus certainly is. If it's a person, it's a defenseless, innocent person. It's murder. So abortion is wrong. She thinks that argument is a faulty argument. That is that it skips a step. How do you go from a fetus is a person to abortion is wrong? You have to fill it in. You have to fill in the space between those two statements, and that's really what she's going to be doing in this essay.